Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today for our CMT-Connect workshop. Hope everyone's doing well. Today, we have a special guest, Michael Sanders, who will be joining us shortly. And we'll be discussing virtual employment and job training. So we think it's a pretty important topic to be discussing right now, especially during these challenging times. And just before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. If anyone has any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to type them in the chat window on the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end of the webinar today. And if we don't get around to it, we'll be sending a follow-up email with any unanswered questions and documents. Okay, so let's get started. We have Mike Sanders today. How are you, Mike?
I am doing okay. How about yourself?
Doing good.
Great.
Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me as a guest on your webinar today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
So tell us a little bit. We're going to dive into what NTI Central is and the services that you provide. Tell us a little bit how you got involved in this work and where your journey started.
sure. So NTI, we help individuals with disabilities back in the workplace again. And one of the main facets of our program that I'm going to talk about today is our NTI at Home program, which
Okay.
has been around for 25 years. And we've helped individuals with disabilities back in the workplace again through work at home jobs. And originally, I started off here at NTI maybe about 8 years ago. And I've always had a desire to help out people again. I used to do a lot of counseling in the past, a lot surrounding job resources. And I found out about NTI and the good work that they're doing here. And I wanted to be a part too. So it gave me a chance to circle back in my career, come back to an organization that was doing good to change people's lives. And so when I first started here about 8 years ago, I've worn many, many, many hats. Had a chance to do recruiting, um, learning, now moving over into partnerships and doing the marketing for NTI. So there's a really wide scope of what we bring in the workplace. We've helped out or assisted over 25 years. We assisted over 100,000 people. And
Wow.
it's good. Like every day, we get a chance to talk to a lot of people who say thank you for the work that we do. And sometimes it's the children of the people that we help out and
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, mom has a new job and she's really excited about it. She hasn't been working for 10 years." And every time I hear something like that, it drives me a little bit further in my efforts every single solitary day.
I love that. And we know too as a community how important it is to have that sense of independence and confidence when you have a job, and how many more challenges people with disabilities face seeking an employment, keeping employment, and now more than ever, disability is just another hurdle. But thankfully, I think one of the silver linings of this pandemic is this surge of working virtually from our homes, and that's something that you guys have always, been behind and been supportive of, and you understand that that's the ideal. A lot of times, that's the ideal working environment for someone with a disability who, can have good days, can have bad days. We have surgeries, we have injuries, and we really need employers who can understand that and still as well value our contributions to our society and our skills. And we really shouldn't be discriminated because of the extra limitations we have as far as mobility and traveling. So I think the work that you and your organization does is phenomenal. It's life changing and it's more valuable than ever. So yeah,
Thank you.
very excited.
With everything happening with the pandemic, it's really put individuals with disabilities in the limelight,
Absolutely.
on an equal playing field too. So your job search isn't exactly the same as it was maybe 6 months ago. So everyone's doing their job search virtually, uh,
Hmm.
viewing virtually, getting hired virtually. So it allows someone who may not have the ability to physically go into a workplace to present themselves in a way that really highlights their skill set.
Exactly.
A good chance.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice now because so many for many years people have been struggling with their employers if they ask or they request to be able to work from home a few days a week or full time. So many times employers say, "Oh, that's not possible. We can't do that." And now we see that truly when necessary and when we have no choice, we have to adapt. We have to, evolve and
Mhm.
restructure our companies and our businesses. So that excuse is definitely out the window for employers and businesses now. So it's interesting. It's a great time to really restructure the work environment and the job environment and put people with disabilities at the top where they belong.
Exactly, exactly. And a lot of companies, we were featured in the New York Times a couple of days ago,
Yes.
talking about an untapped resource. And a lot of organizations don't, especially those who have not adapted to an online culture or remote culture. They were seeking an alternative solution, and now they are tapping into that and looking for us for advice. But it gives another chance for someone who is looking forward to coming back into the workforce again to give them that chance.
Yeah. So I know you have a little presentation for us and to
Yeah.
dive a little bit deeper into how it works and kind of just lead us step by step on how someone would approach NTI and what's available to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I do have, I'm going to show a slide coming on up. I have a couple of people who were co presenting with me,
Yes.
and I'm not sure if they jumped into the meeting or not.
Yeah, we have a few here. So what I'm going to do,
Okay.
I
Okay.
see them in here. I'm going to promote you as a panelist.
Okay.
Uh, And then if you don't mind just keeping your video and your microphone shut off and muted until Michael uh, brings you on and into the conversation.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. So I am going to share my screen in a few seconds here.
Sure.
Let's get this all started. So, so the topic for today, um, what Estella was describing before, a little bit of the thunder is stolen with some of the presentation, but we'll delve into it a little bit deeper and give you a little bit of oversight on what's happening out there in the world. And I think we've covered a little bit of it already, so we may skim on over it. But today's session is going to be virtual jobs and training for the disability community. And so I got a chance to talk a little bit about myself, but I absolutely love working for NTI at home. Like I said before, helping out people on an everyday basis, it's what I was built for in this world. So it's a really good thing. Had a chance to talk about efforts of bringing back people into the workforce again through TEDx talks and other conferences that had to do with remote work within the past couple of years. I also get a chance to advocate on behalf of individuals with disabilities. So there's always some sort of conference that I'm going to or effort that I'm doing to support other people's causes. Um, and that's just the way I live life. But I also wanted to bring in, I talked to our recruiting team as well as our e mentors. And I said, Who have we just recently helped out who is just amazing people. So they gave me a couple of individuals to talk to, and they're going to be joining us today. LaShonda, Ginger, and Deborah. And they work for a couple of different organizations. I'm not sure if Deborah's online yet. I know that she was leaving.
Not yet, but I'll keep an eye out for her.
Okay,
I believe LaShonda and Ginger are on.
perfect, perfect. So LaShonda works for Meyer, who's one of our clients through NTI. And Ginger works for a recent project. It's through Celgene as an associate call center representative. And Celgene is a part of Bristol Myers. So it's a new client that we're working for right now and solving some of the solutions. And I'm going to get into a little bit more with LaShonda, Ginger, and Deborah in a little bit, but I just want to give you a little bit of insight on NTI.
Great. Yeah, we look forward to hearing their feedback and their stories.
What's that?
We look forward to hearing their stories and their feedback.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so essentially, by the end of this, we're going to be talking about the industry. Actually, does Zoom block what is shown?
Um, no, I have it minimized here, so we should be good.
All right, great. So by the end of this webinar, we're going to be discussing a little bit on the industry disruptors out there, like the pandemic and the switch on over to remote work. We're going to talk a little bit about NTI and how you could possibly use it so that way you can get back to work again. And what are some of the factors behind coming back to work? Like what are some of the intrinsic or physical attributes that you may want to engage with again? And then how do we move towards the next steps so that way we can get back in the workforce? And some of the things that that our co-presenters are going to be discussing. So the impact of COVID-19 on the job market. Like we said before, industry disruptor, a total change in the market. It's giving a chance, like I said before, for everyone to be on the same playing field. And we have a chance to connect out there with a couple of different organizations. Sorry about that. But there's some bad and good that comes out of this. So the unemployment levels are off the hook right now. There's about 30 million over the past week, 30 million unemployment claims. And that's increased from the time that Estella and myself talked about this by another 4 million. So it's increasing. The transition to work at home happened overnight. And when you take a look at the statistics out there from Google as well as IBM, 53% of the US population is now working from home. That's a huge difference. And some of the organizations, they weren't set up for this. Managers weren't adept in managing a workforce from home. Likewise, did people have the infrastructure at their home environments in order to be successful as work at home individuals, or could they even do their job from that home? Uh,
Right.
Everything has changed. So we were put into a giant test out there. And out of employees who were interviewed out there, a huge section of different aspects of the economy, as everyone on this call has seen on a regular basis, it's been shut down. There's hiring freezes. 13% of people who were interviewed by Flex Jobs said that their employers are doing a hiring freeze right now,
Mhm.
and things are changing. However, there's a happy side to it. Um, Not all organizations are doing hiring freezes. Some industries, they are hiring like crazy because the industry has completely changed. Now, what we focus mainly on call center industry and IT help desk industry, and companies that have outsourced across the world. Well, those organizations and the infrastructures that they have set up overseas they don't have it set up where a person could just leave the brick and mortar and come and work from home. So a lot of those jobs are coming back to the United States,
Right.
um, which gives a lot of opportunity for people to work at home and individuals with disabilities to work at home. We're seeing right now, like I mentioned before, New York Times, we were in there and it's bringing people with disabilities to the forefront of the work at home movement and giving them equal opportunity to be able to be a part of this again. In certain industries, like I said, they're hiring out there. You'll see certain groups out there where they're hiring for, 300. I've seen stuff from 20 new jobs to 300,000 new jobs.
Yeah.
And we've been getting a lot of involvement with organizations that want to transfer on over to a work at home environment and fill up their call centers. Right now, we have an abundance of jobs, and we're looking for people to come in and be a part of these different programs.
Yeah.
Um, Also, as another big thing that's coming out, I don't know if you've checked your email at any point in time, but it seems like a webinar is going on every single solitary day, every hour of the day by various companies out there. And virtual communications, they're shooting through the roof. It seems like everything is a Zoom presentation right now. If we tried doing this 10 years ago, yeah, we might have had some problems on the call. But otherwise, it's we do have the tools out there to make things happen as well as the training. So some good stuff is happening in that
It's
aspect.
not all doom and gloom.
No, it's not all doom and gloom. There
Yeah.
is definitely silver on the horizon with this one. So it's a good thing. But before COVID-19, remote work has been accelerating throughout the years. So within the past 15 years, stuff has really changed out there. So remote work has increased from 15 years ago to today by 160%. From 10 years ago, it's increased 90%. And from 5 years ago, it's increased 45%. But since COVID 19, we've doubled that amount because everybody needs to be working from home in order to stay safe. So the trend is remote work. While there's controversy surrounding whether or not this is a true work from home environment because people have kids coming on in and things like that they typically wouldn't have with a day to day workforce, it is a good litmus to see whether or not a position out there could be transferred on over to a remote job anywhere in the United States.
Right.
So, why is this increase happening minus COVID 19? Like, why did this happen over the past 15 years? Well, infrastructure keeps on changing, improving, quality of computers, how much RAM could be put in there, the introduction of 5G. There's a lot of new technologies that have supported a work at home environment. And the collaboration software, even during COVID 19, organizations that focus on collaboration software have really accelerated the security and functionality of their products in order to provide something that would translate the real world experience into something that is a digital experience. And also, that cost of living, um, living in a major city or just on the outskirts of the city, so difficult. A lot of the people who we work with through NTI at Home, they may be in an area in the United States that may have your next neighbor is 15 minutes away. So it gives a lot of opportunity for people who would not have jobs within their community to actually have jobs and be supporters of their community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but there are certain companies and nonprofits that have been around for a long period of time who have been doing this way earlier than 15 years. And NTI at Home is one of them. So we were very early pioneers. We started 25 years ago, and as I mentioned before, we helped out over 100,000 people, which is, when you take a look at that number, it's great. But when you take a look at the amount of individuals with disabilities out there, we've only touched a very small portion. And hopefully, we get a chance to help out many more over the next years. So, let me tell you a little bit about NTI at Home, what we're about. So we started off as an employment network of the Social Security Administration. We still are, but we have a new twist to us. So as of April 13th, we decided to expand our mission. So before, what we were doing was helping out individuals with disabilities who were on SSI, SSDI, and or possibly had a VR counselor. So we sat there and said, okay, well, we want to expand this to help out all individuals with disabilities. We were getting calls in, people saying to us, hey, I, applied for Social Security 3 times, keep on getting denied, but yet I've had 8 hip surgeries and I can't get into work. Well, this gives our expansion is focusing on all individuals with disabilities. In addition to that, we wanted to focus on helping family caregivers as well, because not every single state has benefits that they could give to a family caregiver who's taking care of somebody at home. So we wanted to provide them the opportunity too. So we've totally expanded our mission to help out a lot of people. And NTI, we have a philosophy of not throwing people at the wolves. We do have a lot of clients, we do have a lot of jobs, but we realize that the people who come to us may not have been in the workplace for 5 years, 6 years. So we want to ensure that we provide guidance through the whole entire process. We want to make sure that we provide training. And also, too, you think about it. If you are an individual with a disability, even though the playing field is getting a little bit plateaued, we want to work with companies who want to hire individuals with disabilities. So we have partnerships with them, and essentially, you get a chance to apply for some of those positions out there, and they already know that you have a disability coming into it. They're not going to ask you what that is. They already know that, and they're focusing on your knowledge, skills, and abilities, and whether or not you could be part of whether or not you could be solidified within their workplace.
Yeah. And
And
that's such a relief as well because, you know, I personally struggled, and I know a lot of people, they don't know whether to include their disability on their application, right? When they're in those few first stages of interviewing.
Mhm.
And it's really it's hard to decide whether you share that information and you risk the chance of being discriminated against, or you put everything out on the table and hope that they're open-minded and they're willing to make any necessary accommodations for you. So just knowing that, that is not even in something to be that you have to worry about, that it's already out there in the open, and that you're not going to be discriminated against because of your limitation. That's a huge plus.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is really a nice thing to have, and you don't have to put that on your resume. You don't have to bring it up during an interview. Um, it's just you come in there and you do that. When I asked Ginger, Lashonda, and Deborah to be a part of this, I didn't ask them what their disability was, and I don't think anywhere during the process then anyone asked them as well, which is good. Um, but it gives a chance for employers to focus on the person and who they are as a person. And all three of them, even though some people are starting up in the job, they're showing success in there. And we also do the same thing in house too. So we, like I put down on the slide, we practice what we preach. So a majority of our core staff, leadership team, all have disabilities. There's 85% of the people who do, and out of those individuals, about 55% of them came from our NTI at home process. So they had a chance to do the same thing that Ginger and LaShonda are going to be talking about. And they ended up coming through the ranks through NTI, and now they're either directors in the company or they have a significant role within the organization.
That's great. I love
Yeah.
that.
So, what is that process? How did we changed it around actually since the last time that Ginger and Lashonda ended up coming through just slightly, and what we were trying to do was different individuals to come through and be a part of our program. So, the first thing that people do is just register for our program, and they get an email basically saying, hey, sign up for an information session that's best for you. We get a chance to talk to that individual about what the program's about. And if it's something that appeals to them, well, they can continue on in the process. If not, they could drop off. There's no obligation at all. Nobody's going to harass you or anything with it. We want to ensure that people who are part of the program want to be part of the program. And if they drop off, it might be because they don't think that they're ready for it, but at least they have the knowledge to know that we're there. But if they do continue on, we assess their skill set and see what is the best place for them in order to succeed. They get a chance to participate in call center training after that. And once they pass through the call center training, they get a chance to apply for new jobs. And once they interview, they could accept and start a new role. And we have a lot of, it's minimal amount of hurdles to do this. And why do we do the hurdles in it is because a lot of individuals who come to us, like I said before, they haven't been in the workplace for 5 years. So we don't want to throw anyone just through and into an employer. And also too, if they do get to an employer, we want them to stay in the job. We don't want them to give up. We want them to feel confident in what they're doing. Like any job out there, when you first start, there's going to be a lot of information coming at you, and through the course of time, you'll be able to manage that. But at least we provide you the skills in order to do that. So that's one of the reasons why we do that.
Which is excellent. And just to clarify, there's no fee for the training. There's no fee to register. This is completely free, and you guys are a nonprofit, and which is which is very nice for everyone,
Yeah, we
especially when
we
you're
are
looking for a job.
exactly. So we are free. We're funded by a mixture of the Social Security Administration and the clients who come along and help us out. Um, so it maintains for the next person to come in and for us to help them as well. So it's a continuous process of our nonprofit to do that.
Great.
So, how can I be a part of this ultimately? How do we define disability? And to sum it up, it's essentially we moved over from the Social Security's definition of disability and moved over into the CDC's definition of disability. So if there's any type of physical or invisible disability that you may have, if if you deem that you can't do things on a regular basis, you have difficulty doing things, you may qualify for the program. It's just as simple as that. So we were looking at documented disabilities for it, but we have also a self-assessment for coming on through. So you don't need SSI, SSDI, or vocational rehabilitation counselor. So that's the nice new twist that we have to our program.
Yeah. And do you need any type of documents from a physician or anything along those lines?
It would help out
Okay.
have that, and but I think if they want to apply, feel free to apply, and we could always have a conversation about. So the nonprofit still focuses on helping out all individuals with disabilities. And don't count yourself out. Give it a try, and the solution advisors will have a conversation with you and see if you can move on forward.
Great.
Also, too, even though a caregiver wouldn't or may not have a disability, we encourage them to apply too. We typically get on social media maybe about 10 individuals who will contact us per day or every other day, and they are looking for work to supplement what they're doing to help out their family members. We encourage people who are caregivers to apply if they would like to do that.
Because we know that's the super um, time consuming work, and
It
it's
is.
admirable, and yeah, there's going to be restrictions on your time and your hours that you can work, so it's nice to have that option to
Yeah.
add to your income and in a flexible way.
Mhm. And with the work that we do have out there, it's dependent upon the company. So there's part time and full time positions out there, and there are roles at different times of the day. So, so it may work out where it fits into their schedule if they want to make some extra money.
Right.
um, it's a good way to do it.
So this is all basically assessed throughout the registration process.
Mhm.
You'll speak with someone and let them know what your hour limitations are, and things along that line, and
Yeah.
they'll be matched with the job
May-
or the position.
the positions that we have out there, they're able to sort through and take a look at the positions that we currently have, and they're always evolving. Last week, we had 10 new clients who are going to be signing up with us. So there's new positions that are coming out, and each one of those organizations has different needs.
Hmm.
So they may have part time, full time roles. It may be 20, 25 hours. It may be 35 hours. They may need somebody for a day shift or a graveyard shift. It really is dependent upon how the organization or what that organization's needs are.
Right.
And they'll be able to see that within the job description, like what the hours are,
Mhm.
have full control over that.
Great.
Yeah.
And then, so it's not all call center positions, right?
It's it's
Clarify.
yeah, it's mainly call center and
Okay.
IT help desk positions that we currently have right now. And over the years, we've had a mix of different positions. We've had marketing positions with a few different companies. We have, like I said, call center, IT help desk, maintaining. There's some really cool jobs out there for some interesting companies. Um, One of them, and I'm not sure if I could reveal the name or not during this conversation, but it's do the technical support for a video game company. So there is some really great opportunities with Fortune 500 companies and government entities. Which is
Great.
great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So these are the typical skill sets that we look for in a candidate. And the best people are able to type at least 20 words per minute. They have some basic computer knowledge because, like what we were saying before about the infrastructure, you want them to be able to maintain their computer at home. Like, say something goes wrong, can you work along with the IT help desk in order to get your computer situated? And are you nice on the phone? Are you pleasant on the phone? Do you have a clear speaking voice? Can you connect with other people and answer their problems out there? So those are the top four categories out there that we do look for.
And as far as the typing, there are voice to text um, technologies that people can use, or not.
It's
Not.
it's a mix. So we are looking for at least someone to be able to do that for 20 words per minute. It's a little bit difficult when you have a customer on the phone,
Mm,
they're asking you a couple of questions. And if you are using voice to text, I have seen it a couple of times, but sometimes if you're using voice to text, it's distracting to the person who you're trying to help, and they may get confused with that. But
gotcha.
I've seen that successfully done in the past too. So it could be an option depending upon how you leverage the tools for your disability.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Um, so one of the things that you're probably thinking right now is why you want to get a job. And there are some basic needs and I would say some intrinsic values out there that you may need to fulfill. And it really depends on the person. And I really do think that you have to recognize it. What is the need for you in order to move on forward? So is it because you need extra income or main source of income? It could be a full time job for you. We have plenty of people who use this as a full time job. Is it for access to health insurance? Is it for your well being out there, to be a part of something bigger, which brings us into the intrinsic values? And some of the people that we help out, they may have been the head of IT, or they may have been an active part of a call center, or they may have been a teacher where they were engaged with a lot of people, and they're missing something in their lives. And it might be a contribution for that greater cause. It might be just interaction on a day-to-day basis, and to like give yourself some new challenges out there. Some people don't want to sit at home. They feel like, okay, I've reached a point where I can manage my disability.
Right.
Let's give it our all and see if we can come back in the workplace and hit some goals for myself. And I have a lot to offer. So what can I do out there? And there's a lot of people in the same exact boat that you're in, regardless of the needs, whether or not they're intrinsic or basic. Everybody's needs are different, but it's a really great way to um, accomplish and grasp those needs.
Yeah. And just to clarify, is there an age limit to uh, your registrants, or we
Yeah,
had we had a
they
question?
just need to be about 18 years old or
Okay.
18 years old in order to participate in this. And
There's no maximum age.
no maximum age. No maximum age. And I think it's dependent, it's because it's dependent upon the clients as well.
Hmm.
So if somebody is 65 or 70 years old and they feel like they could do this again, they're open to apply the program.
And I mean, it's you don't really have much to lose, right? I mean, it's
No.
free job
Mhm.
training. Sometimes you just need that little push and that,
Mhm.
like a safe environment to get back on your feet and really, learn new skills, because it can be very intimidating, especially when you've been out of work for a while and you're not necessarily tech savvy, or but it's definitely possible, believe me.
Yeah, it takes a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a lot in the belief in yourself and what you can bring to
Mhm.
um, or what you think you could bring to the group. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And like you said, it doesn't hurt to jump in there, apply for the program, listen, and say, okay, well, maybe this is time to do this, or maybe I should wait a couple of months. When we were initially doing this, we found a lot of people put our number on their fridge and didn't call us up for a year, and then came back and said, yeah, I kind of wish I did this a year ago.
Right.
But it takes a little bit internally
Mhm.
to say to yourself, yeah, I could do this. I think I'm at the point where I can make this happen. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
All right. Um, so now I want to introduce our panel. Did Deborah end up jumping on
Uh,
it?
I don't see Deborah yet, but we do have Ginger
Yes.
and Lashonda. If you guys want to unmute
Um,
yourselves and start your videos,
all right.
be ready. Oh, there we go. There's Lashonda.
Hi.
Guys,
Hey, Ginger.
Hello.
and Mike, if you don't mind, if you want to unshare your screen, if you don't have any
Yeah.
further
Oh,
slides.
yeah. Absolutely. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You can see everybody.
Yeah. So, Lashonda, can you tell us a little bit about like what you're doing right now and what organization you're working for?
Absolutely. So I'm with Myers. So it's like a call center. It's a big grocery store chain. Well, they have more than groceries. It's kind of similar to Walmart. I really
Mhm.
love it there. They adapt and help me with my disability. So I kind of fit in nicely. I don't feel like I'm stressed or overworked or anything. It kind of feels like normal. It's
Yeah.
easy. Yes, I really
Nice.
like it.
Now, what about you, Ginger?
I am working for Celgene, which is a global pharmaceutical company. And my position requires me to assist patients who are calling in to, uh, to be able to get their next prescription. And I enjoy that because, I'm able to interact with the patients. So you have that communication factor going on, but at the same time, I have the support of my team and the group leaders and such as that. But I've enjoyed it very, very much.
Nice, nice. Now, how did you hear about NTI?
Me,
Yeah.
Ginger? Well, well, actually, it took me a while to be able to find NTI. I had worked for 40 years in the legal environment, medical environment, local government, education, and then when my disability happened, and I was no longer able to go out and fulfill the duties that I previously had done, I was just at a loss. So I had started researching on the internet things to do, and so I did, some of the things like the data entry for like little pennies for entries and searched, and you find all sorts of scams. And I had even reached the point where I was seriously considering paying a company where you have to pay for their portal use as well as pay someone to give you information on the jobs, have all that taken out of your paycheck. And I was just ready to click on that, and so it kept looking a little more, and then I came across NTI, and
Mhm.
so it was just perfect for me. It has just worked out so well. I can't be
Nice.
more thankful.
Well, I'm happy it did. What about you, Lashonda?
So with me, I had been out of work for 16 years. My disability, I wasn't really coping with that fact that I was disabled. So I got sick of really being disabled. So I found out about the Ticket to Work program and I signed up for their emails and newsletters. And like Ginger, I did a lot of research and only found those programs where you have to pay or register and pay and pay. So I didn't really want to or have the funds to do that. And I got a
Mhm.
robocall from SSI and they said, hey, you qualify for this type of program, give it a look and check it out. And I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too. So, now it was a little bit different for you. You said that you were out of work for 16 years.
Yes, I was.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so like I said, I struggled with the fact that I was disabled. I really
Yeah.
didn't believe it. I'm like, I don't feel disabled. I know I can do this. And then I went to taking care of my sick father and things like that. So I kind of just mellowed in that position for a long time.
Mhm.
And then I just realized, I got to do for myself too. I got to build myself up here. I want to get out of my situation. I want to build my career because I always love working with people and had jobs. So I said, no, I got to get myself out of this. I can be disabled and still make it. You know what I mean? So I tried my hardest. I got my GD. It took a process, a long time, but I finally got out of it, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, you made some massive leaps over a 1 year period. So
Yes, I did. It was a bit of a struggle because I was still even my son does virtual school. That's how I learned how to use computers and all of that stuff, you know. But it took a long time that like the last 2 years I really struggled and worked hard to get out of it. I am coping with the fact that I'm disabled, The job, the training, everything taught me to be able to live with the fact that I'm disabled, and I really like it. I feel comfortable in my skin, if you can say, thanks to NTI and my position here. I'm not struggling anymore with my disability.
Yeah, it sounds like it gave you a lot of different attributes to fulfill your needs, kind of like what we were discussing before with the basic needs, but you also attained a lot on the intrinsic side too.
Yes, I did. I learned a lot. I was able to cope with it, move on. Even the training, it showed me, because I always knew, like, I worked in a lot of like Bradley's and a lot of other places with people, but I couldn't because of my disability. And it totally brought me back into what I like, and it helped me face reality, and it helped me build myself to become the person that I always wanted to be.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
I love it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Ginger? How long was it before you jumped back into the workforce?
Um, I really never did totally leave the workforce.
Mhm.
I wasn't able to go to like the brick and mortar places, but I continued to be self-employed, like I said, doing the little penny jobs or things like that. I continued doing such as that, but nothing to the magnitude that made me feel fulfilled or that was give me that feeling of satisfaction like the jobs I had previously had. And
Mhm.
so, of course, now being able to contribute to our income and being able to do something that is so satisfying and realize I really am helping someone else in doing the job that I have. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's great.
Okay, thank you so much. Um, so, did you? I know we talked a little bit before about the hiring process and how people are now on more of a level playing field and what going through NTI is like in terms of you don't have to disclose disabilities to your employer because they already know that attribute. Did you feel like because that was taken out of the equation that you had a fair chance on getting different positions? What do you think, LaShawn?
Well, personally, I feel like it totally gave me more confidence. It gave me a boost of, I can do this. They're not going to look at my disability. They're actually going to look at my work history and everything else. And then my mentor, she was talking to me about, just focus on the things that you can do. Don't let your disability and those things hold you back. Just be yourself, answer the questions, and show them you have the skills. And basically they just focus on your skills, and that's what actually gives you the confidence and the boost to go forward. And it was totally easy. My first interview, I aced it and I passed and I got the job from the first interview. I was so shocked. I was like, okay, it's not about your disability, it's about your skills right now. So that is hard when you're disabled. A lot of people just focus on your disability, and this program didn't.
Yeah,
I'd love to ask a little bit more about
go
um,
ahead.
the training that you received from NTI and what that process was like. Because a lot
Okay,
of
so
we have a lot of people in our community who have never worked or haven't worked in years and are not at that level of confidence. And
like I was.
well,
like I was.
where does NTI kind of fill in those gaps and how did that work for you?
It was I'm gonna be honest, it was very stressful in the beginning because I only had work in store experience, and it's what I loved, but then I had that large gap too, 16 years. Nobody's caring about that. They're like 16 years of no experience. They're not even looking at that. But then we did the self-paced training programs where you do the reading, you look at the videos, you understand what the call center is all about. I did my own research and watched my own videos too. And then they take you into a live active class where they teach you, you do mock calls and stuff like that. And it brought me right into it. I was like, oh, I'm made for this. I already have the love for it,
Right,
but I'm made for this. I'm at home. I'm more comfortable, 100% more comfortable. So as soon as I did the training, I was like, let's go. I'm good. This
yeah.
is it. This is it. It really brought me to where I needed to be. The training was excellent. It taught me everything I needed to know.
Perfect. I love that. Give you your wings.
Yes, that's right.
Now,
It
what?
taught me how to be a call center agent. That's what I'm gonna say. Yes.
Good, good. Yeah, we're definitely happy that we were able to guide you through the whole entire process. And
Yes.
it's it's interesting because you kind of look at it, and we just kind of gave you a little bit of the infrastructure behind it, but the real skill and ability came from you. So
Yeah.
it's a positive thing.
And you help bring the mindset to the program. That's what I'm sorry. It helps bring your mindset to the actual work and field. You already feel like you can do it, but doing the training, doing the live mock calls and stuff like that, it takes you right into it. So you're like, you get 100% confidence. You know what you're doing when you step into it, especially if you're like me and you have never done it before. If you have never done it before, you're kind of blindsided.
Right.
So you're kind of worried, nervous, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it gives you 100% confidence. And I liked that about the program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ginger, what about yourself in terms of training? Like how did it help you? What was your experience with the training aspect?
It's interesting. She was talking about not having worked before, and then the fear and the stress about going into it. Well, that's the same was for me. Even though I have a long work history, you're still going into something that's an unknown. To me, it's kind of like you're walking into a maze, and you're not sure how it's going to come out because you don't know if you're going to end up with a job or whatever like that, even though you're going through the training. And so I just had to tell myself, just I can do this, don't be stressed out, just take it a little bit at a time. And I was so fortunate that in both instances where I had applied for a job, uh, the trainers were excellent. If you had someone who was more experienced, they didn't just stick with the ones who were more experienced. They made sure
Exactly.
everyone was on the same page before they went forward. Now, the reason that I say that I interviewed for more than one, I started out with one that I wanted to do, and then it wasn't long till I realized some of my limitations were such that I would not be able to do that job. And so then I thought, oh, well, this blows my chance of working for NTI, but it did not. And so thankfully, then I applied for another one that was this one that I'm doing now. It's a perfect fit. My limitations are not such that I cannot do the job and do it well and do it successfully. So, that's a little off the page of the training, but the training was wonderful and our leaders were wonderful. And so, and I wouldn't hesitate to say otherwise. I think you already know
Exactly.
that much.
That
Yes.
is so true.
NTI is an interesting organization in the fact that I believe that we do run it almost like a startup company. And we're always in an evolution of continuous improvement and trying to improve the training out there so that way people could close the gap between what they're doing in the training and what they're going to be doing once they go into a position out there. And it's a constant evolution that we have. So what's there today is always going to be better tomorrow, and we'll keep on trying on our end.
I don't know if this is a good place to say this or not, but I would encourage anyone that's considering going through NTI, when you do get into the training, take notes. Notes, 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 and I even got to the point where I organized my notes, which was so helpful because later on, if a question arose when I was actually doing the job, I could just go back to that note and say, oh, yes,
Exactly.
this is what we're supposed to do.
Mhm.
So that
I'll
was
second that. Yes. I have a binder full of notes and I
as
still use
well.
it today, right now
Yes,
in my
yes.
job. They teach you everything. I swear. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't remember that. Oh yeah, it's in the notes.
Check
Exactly.
the notes when in doubt.
Yes.
Definitely try.
I'm sure there's a lot of people taking notes from this webinar today. And, I'm sure you've inspired a lot of our community members and beyond to kind of take the next step and get their confidence back up there and test the waters. And it's pretty much an ideal time to do that now. I think with everyone working from home and everyone's a little bit more open minded about virtual employment.
Yes. And I do want to add, if you have a disability, some people they do not apply for things because of their disability. It stops them from doing it. And
Mhm.
that's what I was doing for a long time. I did not apply for anything because I was ashamed of my disability. And when I went through the training, they have a whole section in there where they teach you or show you. You can even type if you're one-handed. You can do this. I was so thrilled to see that there was so many people with even um, a worse disability than mine that they were able to do it. So I'm like, okay, you can type with one hand. People have Alzheimer's, all kind of stuff. They were showing you how to work with your disability to
Right.
achieve your goals, and it's exactly what I use to make it. So if you're holding off or if you're holding back, don't do that. Give it a try. Ask questions if you need to. Too. NTI, you reach out to them, they reach right back. They help you out, and that's what I loved about the program and the training too.
Yeah.
In
I,
addition to what she just said, I will add too, do not be limited by your age, because I'm 65 and able to do my job quite well, I think. So don't let that hold you back either.
That's right.
LaShonda, you're a great ambassador for the company.
Thank you. I swear I went through so much, holding myself back. The program just told me, break out your shell, stop holding yourself back. We can help you through this. We can help you push yourself. Just got to do it.
and now with all the technology and tools and gadgets and things that we have access to, right, to accommodate those limitations. I think it's where there's a will, there's a way, and each NAP is always happy to assist anyone if you have any questions or if you're struggling with something. We have a lot of community members that could provide advice or suggestions. We have a lot of vendors in our network selling hands accessories and things of that nature. So yeah, we encourage everybody to reach out and ask before saying no.
That's right. Just ask.
Yeah,
So
you never know what kind of accommodation that is out there for you, or just by talking to other people who have nobody. What I've noticed is nobody has the same exact symptoms, or um, even though they have a category name to it, it's never the same reaction across the board. But it helps talking to them to find out like how are they doing things, and being able to have that connection out there, so that way you could say, okay, well, let me give this a try. And some stuff might work for you, some stuff might not, but at least you're giving it a chance for yourself.
exactly. And so I just had a few final questions here, and just for everyone watching right now, I included the two websites there: the frequently asked questions and NTI Home. We have a special H&F website there that Mike put together. So thank you. So yeah, that's kind of your starting point for registration and learning more about the program. So we encourage everyone to check that out as well. And we'll be providing that in the post email. And then we had a question here from Suzanne regarding, is it required to have an area set aside in your home for your office?
I would suggest that.
Yeah.
I do know some people work at their tables, like their kitchen tables and stuff like that. But if if you are working from the same exact place all day, it's kind of nice to get away from that. And it also depends if there's family members in the house too.
It's screaming in the background. Yeah,
Yeah.
a distraction. So I guess, yeah,
Mhm.
it depends on your environment.
Yeah, and not just noise levels too, because you definitely have a quiet background as you do this, but also from a PPI perspective. So information that, say you're working for a financial company or something like that, you don't want to have it open up on your computer and have somebody come behind you.
Hmm.
Yes.
Don't put yourself at risk.
Right.
So is it ideal to have a home office set up? Absolutely. Something separate in a way. And plus, it gives you a little bit of routine too. Like you feel as if you're, even though it's in a different room in your house, you feel like you're starting up your process, your routine, getting yourself mentally um, able to come to work and get started up. And it's an environment that you just go to and it's there. So,
Right.
Can I add that realistically, a lot of people stop the process because they don't have an office or designated space. So that was part of why I took so long to, but I set up a section in my bedroom and I have a total office in my bedroom. It's a small space and I will be able to expand later on, but I have a son and he knows to stay out of my office, which is my bedroom, so it's still secluded, but
yeah,
it's a small space. You can still do it in a small space. I have one screen, my computer, my phone, and it works just as good as an office for now.
agreed. Agreed.
It's
Um,
Set those.
Estella, you could relate to that, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right now I have a little bit more space, but I usually, like LaShonda, I have my office set up in my bedroom as well. So
That's
just,
good to know.
just so you can have that when the door is shut and locked, you have that privacy and you can concentrate. So I can
Yes.
definitely relate. But and then I just have one more question coming in. Can people who are collecting Social Security and disability, can they still work part time? Because I know there's a lot of caps on your income and things of that nature.
Well, I mean, you have to take a look too at your trial. It's called a trial work period. So if you're on SSI or SSDI, the government gives you a chance to see whether or not work is most appropriate for you. And you could make as much as you want during that 9 month work period. If you decide that it's not a good choice for you, then you can step away from it. I know some people out there who have completely gotten off of Social Security and have started working on their own. And within these jobs, like they ended up getting promoted within the companies. And you might find that that's a good route for you.
Mm,
So keep your mind open to those opportunities, but also too, see how your benefits are affected out there and talk to the Social Security Administration about it. So the one thing that there is an item called the Red Book, as in the color red. And if you Google that in Social Security Administration, it's a 60-page book that's very easy to read. And it will have like your a basic summary of your benefits and how the ticket work program works and how it affects your benefits as well.
okay, that's good to know because a lot of people are nervous about walking away from their benefits and then not being able to continue working. So that 9 month period that you mentioned is kind of like a test run period where they can test the waters, see if they're capable of working and making that income. And if not, then they don't lose their benefits. Correct.
Yeah. And it's dependent upon if the person's worked in the back. Everybody's situation is different.
Okay.
At least the Red Book gives you some basic guidelines on understanding the benefits and what you could come to expect during that trial work period,
Okay.
money you can make. So it's a really good opportunity for people to come on forward and give it a shot.
Hmm.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us and sharing your experience with us. We're so happy you found your niche and are
Hmm.
loving what you do. And thank you so much, Michael, for that that fantastic presentation and for putting this all together and working with us. We're really thrilled to be able to bring this resource to our community and provide options for everyone, especially during this difficult time. So.
absolutely. You definitely have enough opportunity through NTI. So um, if anybody needs to reach out, I believe that the phone number is on the sheet. Um,
Yes, we will. We will.
Website link.
Yep, yeah, we have the websites there at the bottom of the chat, and then we'll be putting that on the show notes for our YouTube video and our website. So we'll make sure everybody gets over to your contact info.
All right, perfect.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And
Thank you.
we wish you all the best. All right.
So
Have a happy Wednesday, everyone. Take care.